I know they mad. They can't stop. Number one soundtrack in America. Black on. The number one movie. Women making records. Making the whole wild VHS. Selling the soundtrack. I told y'all to in the movie. I told y'all I'm gonna show y'all how to clean your dirty money up with good money. Invest into yourself. You heard?
My partner gave me $50.
This is the I'm Kinda Famous podcast. I'm your host, Lester Rowe. New week, new episode every Thursday. iTunes, Google Music, SoundCloud, Podbean, Kinda Famous Pod, Kinda Famous Pod, P-O-D. Also on Twitter and Facebook, Kinda Famous Pod. aRowe Films, aRoweFilms.com is exactly where you can go to see anything that I've made. That's like the hub to everything that you need to know about me. aRoweFilms.com, aRowe Films.com. Now, when you're on there, you gotta go over to that Redbubble, get them clean ass people collector shirts or any merch on there. I got some new stuff on there with some photography things on the t-shirts and everything like that. So make sure you go hit that while you're hitting everything else up. Now, also, I announced this some episodes back, but the Mental Health Awareness Week of shows on the Kinda Famous podcast. If you deal with mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, maybe some suicidal thoughts, things like that, and you want to share that story with me, email it at the kindafamouspod@gmail.com. That's kindafamouspod, Kinda famous pod, Pod, @gmail.com. And we'll share that story during the Mental Health Awareness Week on the Kinda Famous podcast. That's going to be in May. And we'll keep it anonymous. If you don't want to be known who you are when I tell that story, that's fine. But, you know, your story may help somebody else who may be struggling with the same thing. So share that with us and we'll get that out there. All right. Now we can jump into this week. This week's episode, we're going to do a music episode. And I told you what was going to happen this week. We're going to talk some of that Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. And me, I'm doing the podcast. That's kind of not radio. I got somebody who really does radio in. Rolls Royce from Power 93.5. He just jumped in there. But Rolls Royce from Power 93.5 here in Wichita, Kansas. Radio DJ and presenter, has a show on 93.5 between 3 and 7 p.m. daily. You can speak now.
Yeah. Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. All right, so I got him in here. We're going to talk More Life versus Damn. That's Kendrick Lamar, Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Drake dropped More Life March 18th, and Kendrick was dropped Damn April 14th. Just a little bit, just a month after each other. I'm just gonna jump right into it. What do you think? I don't know which one to start with. Here, let's do this first. Let's talk about some of your credentials. How long you been doing radio here?
I've been doing radio since January of 2006. I started out at 107.9 Jams, Wichita's new number one for hip hop and R&B until it got sold in December.
Where is that?
Right, and that was December 31st, 2007, and I started working at Power 2 weeks later. So I've been here 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, I started out middays and then moved over to afternoons.
Man, you gotta love it to do it this long.
I always wanted to do it.
3 to 7. Well, what kind of show are you doing between 3 to 7?
It's basically a music-based show. I mean, it's kind of, just regular jocking, not talking too long. I mean, for me, on the radio, if I talk more than 30 seconds, that's a marathon to me. I mean, I even start feeling like I'm talking too long. Get in, get out. So
we're about to do an hour. So I hope you don't get exhausted. So I assume you love doing it. Gotta love doing it.
I've always wanted to do it. Since I was a kid, everybody else was buying stuff for their cars and stuff like that. I was buying like radio equipment, tape decks, receivers, turntables in middle school and high school. That's all I ever want to do.
Now, a lot of people claim the title DJ. Now, can you DJ?
I actually started off doing that. Turntables, mixer. So yeah, that's where I started. Long story short, the first time I heard a live mix show, I got family in Houston, 97.9 The Box.
Mm.
Mad Hatter,
Yep.
who's now doing mornings, the Mad Hatter Morning Show, but he was, it was a Friday. They had a segment called Freestyle Friday. People call up and they freestyle on the radio over instrumentals, and then they went into the mix. And to show you the time frame, this was 96. Outkast Elevators was out. And back then, before they dropped the music that you could get it, you could only hear one of three ways. Either a music video on the radio, or if a DJ in the club had the copy before it was on sale.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'd seen the video. You're waiting for the music to drop. You know, there's about a good month in between. And they were mixing that live on the radio. And I said, oh, my God, got to do that. Got to do that.
Now, tell me, we're going to jump into this music, but what in your lifetime, if you had to name, you know what, not lifetime, let's go past 5 years, favorite album. Give me top 2 favorite albums.
Top 2?
Yeah.
For me?
Or highly regarded from you. Let's not go top 2 because that's too tough. That's a large pill to swallow.
Nah, man, this might surprise. Well, one was Views. In the last 5 years, Views. And I'm probably one that was on nonstop rotation. I like all sorts of music. There's a alternative group called Tame Impala.
Tame Impala. I ain't even
Which
heard
Rihanna
that.
redid one of the songs. I'm gonna have to look it up, but she redid one of the songs. I'm gonna have to look at it. Keep talking, guys. My mind went blank.
So top 5. Well, top 2 in the last, let's say 5. We got Views. Now we skipping Rick Ross. We skipping who done came out. What everybody loved. You got a Tribe album that was out there. Let's see. You got some J. Cole that was out there. Got some Big Sean that was out there.
Oh yeah, they were all good.
Okay.
But I mean, those 2 were the one I had on repeat a whole lot, and for different reasons. You know, music is one of those things. Like there's different things. It's
Got
all
Future?
subjective. Future's cool. I mean, but it's like, I mean, Future drives an album. I listen to 2 or 3 things. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, there's some songs that are hot, but
That's how I am with a Future album. I'm kind of like, I'm not a Future fan, but he is good for giving me a good melodic something that I can jam over and over. Like I love March Madness on one of those albums.
New Person, Same Old Mistakes, the Rihanna song.
Yeah.
That's originally Tame Impala. She redid it.
All right, well.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to post that on the Facebook page so y'all can put those references together because I ain't never heard the song. I don't listen to enough Rihanna to even put that together. She did see, I don't even want to try because I can't. She on the Kendrick Lamar album, I remember that song.
Which was a great song, by the way. That was a...
That Loyalty. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to it on the way here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's see. Where we start? Let's start with More Life. Now, More Life, that's Drake's
playlist.
album. Yeah.
Well, whatever it is. I mean, it's actually really smart when you think about it. I mean, it is kind of a game changer in that sort of sense.
You mean calling it a playlist?
Calling it a playlist and just releasing it because it's not in hard copies.
No.
Well, actually, I think maybe it is.
I think I read that he was going to do a record, like a 12-inch,
Okay.
but not as physical copies.
Basically, it's kind of it's Drake saying, okay, you guys showed me the new game. It's you showed me the rules. It's time to work it to make it benefit me.
Now, I got a large claim I'm going to make about Drake, but I'm going to hold off until we talk about More Life a little bit. So More Life, I know it was one of them things I didn't know was happening until like January maybe. Because it kept getting pushed back, but
It's supposed to drop in December 2016.
Right. And see, in December, I don't know if it was the interview he did in December on something maybe in London or either Canada that I listened to. And one thing about Drake that he makes, I think how he makes things special is by being so like an enigma in a way, kind of like Jay-Z. Not a lot of interviews, but when he speaks about something, it's like, all right, because he's going to break some news for us, like make us really kind of lean in and listen to what he got to say. And on this interview, he was talking about what he wanted to do with More Life, make it like how he felt when you would turn on the radio late at night and you just hear this continuous mix. In this case, what they do with OVO radio and some of the stuff they do over there with Beats is now Apple Radio, I think.
Yeah.
Like that. So when he said that, it made me go, you know what? I kind of want to check out More Life. I didn't know it got pushed back and all this sort of thing. I didn't even know it was a big to do. I thought it was just something that Drake was putting out after he put out Views, or after he ran amok on Meek Mill. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And then it came out, and I was just like, "Yo, this is different." Out the gate, I mean, it had a whole lot of hype. They say he did about 500,000.
It's just usual. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like if he's not doing 500,000 on the first week, it's a problem.
It seems like it shouldn't happen now with the way I still don't understand the whole stream equivalent thing.
It's there's some weird formula. I mean, you have to listen to a whole lot more. It's like, what is it, like 100 million listens on Spotify equals one. It's basically platinum on, you know.
I tried to look into it, but
because record sales are record sales. You know what I mean?
That's how I look at it too. Like, get a purchase is a purchase. Like,
right.
But I guess they did have to figure. I don't know who was and it could have been Drake, but I don't know who's the first person who really, where they said, okay, we gotta adjust how these sales work now. Because before, this streaming equivalent is just ringtone sales, what it would have been called 6-7 years ago, whatever, when Soulja Boy and everything. And so now you got to flip it up, I guess, to make it count, because people ain't buying physical. But record sale is a record sale to me too.
Well, but even on iTunes, that counts as a record sale. Even but Spotify, like I got Spotify, I don't got to pay to count. But so if I listen to a song 100 times and that count, I don't see how that still equivalates.
Yeah, I think you have to purchase.
Going platinum.
Right. Yeah, I think you have to buy the whole thing out for it to count. I don't think you gotta. It shouldn't be as simple as saying I listened to it several times and that's an album. I don't know. Maybe if you listen to it for 60 minutes, maybe, because that's about an album. But yeah, he did 500,000, which I kind of would expect it even if it was hard copy, something like 400, 500. That makes sense to me. What'd you think about it?
I mean, it was hot. I mean, I got radio ears, okay? Yeah. So that's one of the first things I always tell people is there's a lot of singles on there. Like there's about 4 or 5 radio singles. Matter of fact, Passion Fruit, that shouldn't have been the first one. I thought, like, Portland is starting to come out as a radio single. I thought Portland was hard. The one with I'm trying to think. The one with Kanye, Glow, like, that's a radio single. He's got some hits on there.
Now, what you said you like Portland?
Yeah.
I wanted to like Portland.
Listen to it about 20 times.
I can't. I like Quavo. That Migos album that came out was like, I always say, like, I always look for that definitive album from a group or a person in general. That one where you say, if you go here, you can go backwards and see the growth and go forward and see this is their new standard. So that Culture album made me appreciate Migos a lot more than I did before the Culture album. And so I wanted to hear Quavo, and at the same time, through the Migos album, I discovered Travis Scott. And I had ignored Travis Scott because I thought he was somebody else, Travis Porter. I thought that's who that was, and it just wasn't my music. And then I was listening to it, and I started listening to some Travis Scott. And so when I came over to the Views, and I see, not Travis Scott, that was 2 Chainz. Is it 2 Chainz? No, Young Thug and Quavo.
Yeah.
It's Portland.
Yeah, on Portland, yeah.
Yeah, and I like Young Thug. I think when we talked last, I told you how much I hated Young Thug. And since then, I really, really like Young Thug. But I wanted to like that album. I just didn't feel like...
No, Portland's Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
Yeah, just that, yeah.
Okay. And who else is that?
Quavo and Travis Scott.
Yeah, I couldn't. I like it, but I don't like it enough. This is what I feel like. I feel like that was one of their two. It was either Quavo's song or Travis's song, and Drake said, "I'll jump on it," and that's why I don't think the chemistry is really there for that song.
I don't know, man. I think it's hot. I think it's one of the hottest ones on there. I mean,
my favorite song is. I don't know if I got a favorite song. I do love Passion Fruit. I love Passion Fruit for the house party feel.
Passion Fruit's pretty
from the very
Passion
beginning.
Fruit's for the ladies. Like, one thing Drake is so great about is he is doing 180s. He can make something like a Passion Fruit, which is totally a female-oriented record. I mean, can we cut some of this? Yeah. Let's cut the shit. I mean, that is a female record. I mean, matter of fact, the first couple of people who I heard the album from were females. And they were like, oh yeah, Passion Fruit. You know, some of the people around here that listen to it, which song you like? Oh, Passion Fruit. And we're like, oh, that's the single. Like, you know what I mean?
But Drake is good for that though.
Right.
He knows how to do that.
But then he can play, you know, he can put something else on there that's just trap as hell. You know what I mean? He's great at playing both sides.
Is Passion Fruit, you said Passion Fruit's your favorite?
Nah, probably right now. Can't Have Everything. Blim. Glow. 1, 2, 3. Those are my top 3 on there.
I think I'm going Passion Fruit. I really like that. Was it Glychester?
Yeah.
I like that because it felt like a Migos song. And I was really waiting for one of the Migos to jump. Like, just hearing it didn't sound like a Drake record. It sounded like I'm going to do one of those Migos songs.
Free Smoke. I got to put that on there too.
But that's right out the gate. I do like Blim. I like Teenage Fever when he flips that Jennifer Lopez song.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the whole thing. What don't you like about the album?
You know, I wouldn't really say I don't like a track on there. I mean, there's definitely ones that I'll probably listen to more than others.
Yeah.
Ironically, Passion Fruit would probably be one of those. You know, that's like the big radio single, but yeah, there's not one I'm like, nah, I hate this.
Now, my complaint about the whole thing is just too fucking long. It's one I play it like the when I first heard it, I was like, he did exactly what he said he was doing when I listened to that interview. Like, it legit feels like a playlist. The blends are perfect. Like, it feels like, you know, you leave the club about 12:45, you got to drop everybody off and then drive all the way home, and this would be what Power would be playing at that time. No one's really paying attention to the list. You don't got that many ads to run. It's just going. That's what I like about it. But when I'm listening to it at noon, I get to like track 18 and I'm looking at the list. It's like, damn, it's like fucking 5 more songs left.
Right.
And
yeah, because there's 22 total. Yeah.
22.
Which is also interesting because that would basically be a double album. If that were like a CD.
Yeah.
A real, like, that would be a double album.
But it worked. But I think calling it a playlist is actually the smartest thing that you can do, because if you don't hand it to the mixtape and you put it into, and you don't put it to an album, and you jump in and you say it's a playlist, now we go old school mixtape feel when you hit the record button and set up your perfect list for that long road trip. And I think, I don't know, I think my mind does something different knowing that, okay, this wasn't meant to be an album. This is just something to play. So, yeah, what do you take from it?
Well, you know, hey, it's a great body of work. I'm not sure. You know, it kind of makes me wonder. I mean, is it supposed to be listened to all the way through? Is it a body of work? I mean, or is it just 22 songs on a playlist? Because maybe it's not meant to be listened from beginning to end.
What? Maybe it's a
You know-
views throwaway.
What's that?
Maybe it's views throwaway.
Ooh, I hope not. I hope not, because that was some good. Those are some good songs to throw away. We'll take Views for a second. I mean, you can tell Views from beginning of the song to the ending of the song. It was a conceptual album. He took you through Toronto. Like, that was Toronto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one, it's just a bunch of songs, but they all kind of have a certain feeling, and I can kind of get the more life. I kind of get that.
So the reason I've heard people call it a views throwaway, and the reason I can almost dig that is because you do have these pockets that feel like views. It feels like, oh, that would have came after this song on Views.
I mean, hell, you could take one thing. Drake is also great about is reinventing himself, doing the same thing. You could have took any of those songs and put them on Thank Me Later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to say there hadn't been a lot of growth. He's doing different things, but it's still the same. It's still Drake. You know what I mean? It's still you know what to expect. His next album, we already know what we're gonna get.
Right.
We just want to hear it.
Well, do you? Because this is the very unique thing about Drake. So you take, he is, you know what? I do like that idea of saying reinventing. What did you say? It's like reinventing the same album or
Yeah, I mean it's the same kind of concept, and he's great at doing that. But there's also changes in it. You can see musical growth.
right.
That's the difference. It's like every album you can see growth. You can see he's trying new things. He's doing new concepts, but it's still Drake. He's still going to talk about his insecurities, feeling slighted. Girl, I mean, it's still the same Drake. Like, you know what I mean?
But I think that with the Drake album though, you almost have, I think your ear has to hit a reset button. Just because they do have they're similar in theme, but the sound is a lot different. Like if you go to from So Far Gone and what was it? Thank Me Later, you have that sound that you start to learn his producers. You learn like Noah and all these, and then it does have that what at that time you almost say that's the Canadian sound because of what The Weeknd was doing, and they was making very similar kind of ambient type of beats and things like that. And then now you fast forward all the way here, you got a more island kind of sound to a lot of the songs where it's like I dig that a lot. I like these, I don't know, Caribbean sounding songs that make you just kind of dance like you're in a dance hall, wherever it is. But I felt like I wouldn't have accepted that.
if he wouldn't have done it, I mean, and he kind of helped start that too, the whole Caribbean. I mean, everybody's doing it now. I mean, hell, Sia Cheap Thrills, if you take out her vocal, I mean, shit, it's a reggae song all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was one of the first ones to start kind of doing that and really influence it. And also, I think that's some of that Canadian stuff where you got everybody like black dudes ain't slaves. They're from the West Indies. You know what I mean? That's the black people over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you get that kind of reggae, indies, dance hall influence. You know, he came up, his pops was from the South, Memphis. He spent time listening to Chopped and Screwed music. You know what I mean? It's like he'll take influences of things, Drakeify them, but the content is still the same.
Yeah.
I could switch out words from Thank Me Later to this album and it would still work.
Now, what about, all right, you say influence where other people go ghostwriting. What do you think about the ghostwriting stuff?
I mean, hell, everybody has a ghostwriter. I mean, maybe not Jay-Z, but I mean, you can't tell me that it's music. I mean, some of the biggest hits in the world have been ghostwritten.
See, I feel like people go ghostwriter, but I also kind of feel like there is just this thing of influence too. We know what we've seen Lil Wayne's growth from being a kid, how he sounded, and but his sound has changed depending on the people that were in the room.
Right.
And we're in this room here, and let's say we want to write a song. I pen most of it, and you say, you know what, you should say this instead of that. I'm gonna give you that credit, and you may tell people. And Drake even said this in that interview that got me to More Life. It said, like, it's weird that people say that he has a ghostwriter when he has wrote for some of the biggest songs in hip hop and R&B. Like, how do you deny his ability to write when we know he can write?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, penning songs is good, but like it's just more important things to be in music than having.
I just think if it's entertaining, it's entertaining.
Right.
That's where I go with it. So what would you rate this album out of 10?
I'll give it a 9.
A 9.
Yeah.
So if you give it,
but I'm a Drake dude. Though. Like, I'm a Drake fan. Let me make the disclaimer. Like, Drake is my man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's mixed. I'm mixed. Drake's my man. You know, the mulattoes stick together. Yo, like,
I mean, I'm a big Drake fan. I love Drake's. I love what Drake has done for the industry, making introspection, insecurity, all these themes that. Now you're seeing this happen a whole lot more. Like, guys are okay with saying, I'm sad that, I lost my chick, which wouldn't have been so much acceptable, even though, LL did it, but now we see it like in abundance.
But he still did it from a machismo way. The whole thing about Drake, I always tell people, this is Drake in a nutshell. Here's a dude that will say what's on the dude's mind, real life experiences, and is a little bit emo about it. We'll talk about being in his feelings. I think that's why some dudes are, man, the Drake over there. Like, dude, man, every man has done everything that he said on them albums. I remember sitting and listening to Marvin's Room.
Oh, God.
When he's calling and saying, like, and going into like, fuck that, And I'm like, been there, done that. We're paid, I'm paid my mom's house. Me and my wife are paying my mom's house. She had heard the album, but she's sitting there listening to it. She goes, damn, that song is deep. Because I know that somebody's called her at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just like the same way on the What a Time to Be Alive, the Diamonds Dancing. Future's doing, and then at the very end, I said, if you want to understand Drake in a nutshell, listen to Diamonds Dancing when he's like, you're doing me dirty. Oh no. How to let it get like this? Oh no! And then he's talking about the other dude. Yeah. That nigga. But then he'll say, "How come you haven't called me?" You know what I mean? And then the next line is like, "Your mom should be ashamed of you." You know what I mean? That's straight. It's like It's like they turned on the mic. Rihanna got in his feelings that day, and he's like, "Man, fuck you. You did me wrong. Yeah. We split up, but you haven't called me." That's some dude shit.
He's a male. I feel like he really is male conscious.
Right.
like I think even when I go back to So Far Gone and listen to some of those songs, it's like women would love Drake, and I'm like, are you listening to these lyrics? Because he's really shitting on you. Like, this song is not really in your favor. This is one that all the men in the room like real shit, just high fiving. But like I do, and he'll do it behind a ballad. Where it's almost you almost miss it, but then turn around, give you some of them hard, like the Gloucester, whatever it is, like give you a hard or Free Smoke, give you these hard ass lyrics that it's like, yo, like,
and then he's the ultimate dude. I hate to say this because I'm gonna age myself. He's the ultimate, and no offense to the millennials, he's the ultimate millennial. Like some of the stuff he says. Like, I'm 38. Millennials, I think, are born in like 1980. I was born in 78. So
apparently, I'll tell you because I just had this conversation around 83, 84 because apparently I'm a millennial. So.
Yeah. You're at the top. So what's it like on Pound Cake? Like, there's a great line in Pound Cake where he's like, a
lot of great lines on Pound Cake,
where he talks about going to his high school reunion. Like, I might make an appearance, make everybody have to go through security clearance. Like, my 20th year reunion is this year, and I'm thinking, I would love to make some of the people. Because it's almost kind of like, I showed you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how many people that have that little thing in there, like, people don't think I'm gonna be something, they better pray they aren't around when I do, because it's gonna be on. Like, I would love to go to my reunion this year.
Yeah.
And be like, what? The only reason I'm going is because, just to be like,
look at me.
Well, and not just to brag, but kind of being like, a lot of y'all counting me out.
Yeah.
What you doing? Okay, cool. Just to see where people are at in life. But I mean, that's just one of those. That's just one line. But it's just like, that's the truth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here's a dude who's made millions. Everybody knows what he does, but he still wants to put that edge in there and be like,
and know where he came from.
Right.
Like, where this shouldn't have transitioned this well.
And as long as people are going to talk shit about him, he will come out with records like this. That's the whole thing. Because not every girl is going to want Drake. He's still going to get his heart broken, because that's just human nature. You know what I mean? That's shit money can't buy. You know what I mean? So he's always going to be feeling some type of way.
Now, before we started recording, we was just listing all these Drake albums, and like, when you look at this is a very fucking impressive body of work.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, now
platinum.
All since day one. Now, tell me this: you said that Views is 9. It doesn't feel like an album.
No. More Life is 9.
More Life is 9.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like an album. It's more of a playlist. So we look at like a bunch of songs. How do you, if that's a 9, how do you view it in the Drake body of work?
It's pretty good. I mean, Views was probably, actually,
what's below?
Take Care and Views are probably tied for first. Like, Take Care was one of those things where it's like, okay, now Drake is here. Like, he came out with some hits, but Views, as a body of work, as a conceptual album, from the first track to the last, how all the tracks were laid out, how it's congruent. You can sit there, press play, close your eyes. I've never been to Toronto, but I don't need to now.
I honestly,
it's
Views,
no different from Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City. You can turn it on, close your eyes, and that's a day in LA.
We're gonna transition into Kendrick, but yeah, Views is probably one of my. Views is one, So Far Gone is 2 for me. Views I like not so much on the as you say, the ride to Toronto, but more of that it has seasonal feels to it throughout the, like, I feel a certain season in it, which that was he execute these concepts really well. So for me, what is it called? More Life. I have to give it, I think I give it about an 8. And I give it an 8 more so because it's long, and there's I can play it, but for 22 songs, it's like I get exhausted at some point.
Right.
I'm ready to, and I don't know if I'm more conditioned into the 60-minute or, because albums have got shorter with the whole difference in album sales, but it feels a little bit long. But I give it about an 8. I think it's one of his middle records for me. His middle, like, if I take all his albums, Views is 1, So Far Gone is 2, and something's gonna be right below that, and then I go More Life. So with that's Drake. Now let's jump over here to Kendrick. So Kendrick, what he did, shortly after More Life dropped, he drops a song. Like 4 or something like that it's called.
Yeah, it was like the Heartbeat, the Heartbreak.
And they said that he was dissing, well, no one can really quite tell if he's dissing Drake or dissing Big Sean. But it kind of took a little bit of the steam out of the Drake album by putting, like, in the middle of all this thing that's happening, then here he comes and drops something. And about a month later, he comes out with Damn. It says April 14th he drops Damn. I will say right out, I am not the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan. I think he can rap. I think he's dope. He has great songs. After Donald Trump won, I played We Gonna Be All Right on loop for at least a week. And I went into this like, I'm just gonna avoid this Kendrick album because I never can play a whole Kendrick album other than the first listen, and that's just to know what it is. And what happened is everyone was talking about the Humble song. And I was like, I don't really care that much. And I saw a little piece of the video and I said, you know what? I want to do this podcast and talk about the damn album versus the playlist, whatever it's called, More Life. So I said, I can't do it without listening. I get the Kendrick album. First song, DNA, blew my fucking mind. I mean, it was like probably one of the best songs of Kendrick Lamar if we're going to say, is he one of the best doing it? There was one of those songs that made me say, he's in the conversation for real, for real. Because my biggest complaint was always the production. This was always a little weird. It wasn't really, it didn't really take me nowhere. And then it was too much of the black rapper stuff. But DNA, and then it goes into the next song, and then it goes into the next song. I'm like, this is a different album. Like, this isn't, Good City. This isn't the rest of them. Pimp a Butterfly. This is a different Kendrick album to me. What did you think about it?
I mean, hey, it was a great album. Got some great songs on there. A little more palatable to the ear than the last album, I think. Once again, my radio ears, there's 3 or 4 singles on there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is one of those that's going to get some good stretch of radio airplay on there.
What are you playing? What if you got to run this and they come to you and say, all right, what song do you run on the radio?
Oh, well, Humble's good, but if Loyalty, the one with Rihanna, isn't the next single, I don't like that. That will be on the radio sooner or later. I'll put money on that.
I don't know why you have Rihanna and don't put it on the radio. Like, you kind of almost have to.
The Love or Lust.
I think those 2 different songs.
What's the one where it's like, love me? That one. But that starts out going love or lust. That one. Like that's one. Kind of with the guy singing the hook.
Okay. Let me pull up.
It's like Zakari or something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull. I had it right there. Now let me ask you, I don't know where I want to go with the Kendrick album. It was one line he said, it may have been on DNA, where he goes,
yeah, it's Love featuring Zakari.
He goes, something to being a black rapper. There's something different from a black rapper and whack rapper or something like that. It's like a bar. And so that bar right there told me, I felt like a lot of people who are Kendrick fans, they always make the excuse, well, he'll never sell like Drake because Drake is a pop star, this, that, and third.
What are you talking about? I mean, he did the last couple of...
But they forget that.
As a matter of fact, like, I can only name 3: Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole. As Jay-Z came out with an album in the last 3 years. When was Magna Carta? 2013, 2012?
Yeah, that was a minute.
And the only reason that went platinum is because it was on the Samsung phones.
And they gave it away.
Ain't but 3 rappers who went platinum. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Kendrick is going to go platinum. I mean.
But that was the argument, is that he'll never sell the way Drake, da-da-da-da. But when I listen to this album, where I say it's not a Kendrick album, I feel like when you listen to the production, some of the producers he have on there compared to what he did before, you listen to the hooks. I think he went out there to make a mainstream album.
That's what I'm saying. It's more palatable. I mean, you can definitely tell. I think that last one, and this is me, the last one was a great album, To Pimp a Butterfly. I liked it. I listened to it twice. I've never listened to it since. It's too... sometimes music shouldn't be that damn cerebral. You know what I mean? It's just like, especially coming from Good Kid, Mad City, there was growth, but also it's kind of a different Kendrick.
Yeah.
Which I guess it shouldn't be the same one, but this should have been the second album.
I think there's always a time with a rapper where there's a point where there's hunger, and then there's that point where, okay, they're listening. And I think sometimes that, okay, they're listening album is always a fall off a little bit.
Well, you can definitely tell there's experimentation, you know, it kind of all wrapped together. And this is for me. You know what I mean? I always try to say it because, you know, everybody has their own likes and dislikes.
You can drag them on the Kind of Famous Pod on Facebook. Go ahead.
It just seems like that album was a little too artsy fartsy.
To Pimp a Butterfly?
To Pimp a Butterfly. Like, you know what I mean? It was just too cerebral. Like, it's one of those where it's like, you know what to expect, and then you hear it, and it's like, okay, it's not what I expected. It's Kendrick, but it's just not what I expected. And then sometimes, too, you know, I don't want to say sophomore jinx, but I mean, damn. I mean, he can. His first album went platinum. Like, that was a big thing. That was a very big thing. Like, I remember everybody being like, this dude's gonna bring the West Coast back. And then the next one is basically a funk album with some spoken word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, I like funk, but goddamn.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, there's a reason why I don't listen to funk now, because they did a great run in the 70s.
But you know, that's a LA thing. I mean, a California thing. When you listen to, you know, Tupac,
but it was too
me,
literal. G-funk. It was funk, but it was they redid it. You know what I mean? Like, Let Me Ride the Chronic. It was the same part. I mean, some of those licks and everything, it was like, shit, it was, I mean, he had George Clinton on the album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's one of my, what, you talking about the Chronic? Or
on a Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, that was a funk album.
So I had this conversation, and I was looking, and I didn't know this, but I was looking at the notes for Damn. Dr. Dre executive produced it. And it's so crazy because I forget that Dre is
he
on
produces
Aftermath.
all the Kendrick stuff.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense because it's just, I think Dre saw the future in Kendrick and wanted to recreate some of what made the West Coast so hot in that time.
I mean, because Dre helped find him. Why do you think he's on Interscope?
I think he's on Aftermath.
Well, Aftermath, and then he's on Interscope because that's Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah,
and you know, Dr. Dre and Beats and all that. So it's like, oh yeah, I mean.
But you forget that because Kendrick feels so independent. He has more of an independent rapper kind of.
And see, here's the question I have now, especially, and I can already see the Pandora's box that we're gonna go into, but let's just open it. What does an independent feel like now?
Because
and what's independent? Because I think of independent totally different than a lot of other people do.
That's true. I mean, I guess when I say independent, I feel like it's those people that when I first started listening to, when I was really, really getting into rap, you always hear, oh, he's mainstream, he's underground. I feel like it's a certain sound of the production where I don't know. That's a real good question. That's because Wiz Khalifa, you know, to me, Rostrum wasn't when he first came out. It wasn't really a big thing, but you would call that independent. But he was really making a bigger sound than an independent sound.
And then once again, like, you know, Rostrum, he was signed to an independent label, but we also see it from a different side because the distribution deal is through Atlantic. So is that independent? I mean, you've got creative control.
Is distributed Universal and not.
But, you know, it's like that. That's the fine line. Like, independent to me is like Strange Music, where you have they do their own shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get distribution to where you can have creative control, and I think that's what independent more now is, creative control. You don't have an A&R in the studio from the label going like, maybe the hook should be a little longer. Because long story short, that's what radio, and we researched the hooks. So if it has a strong hook, like, we need a strong hook. Well, some of the people are like, man, if I have a strong hook, I'm going to make my music.
Right.
But I'm going to have, like, prime example, Macklemore. I will never forget him when he got the Grammy, yeah, shouts out to all the independent artists, independent music, yeah. Like, Warner Brothers is distributing your music because he would have never got that Grammy.
Yeah.
He would have never been at the level he was at if he didn't have one of the big 3 labels calling radio stations, making calls for him.
Yeah.
Because the Heist was doing great, but it wasn't nowhere. Thrift Shop was coming up, but to be a number 1 record, you have to have. Let me put a caveat on this.
Okay.
Chance the Rapper is one of the only people I've seen.
I don't know about Chance the Rapper.
That's had a number 1 record. But also, I just saw a great video, and people are like, well, is he independent? Because he's doing a lot of stuff through Apple. Like, when Apple's pushing you, what as it, you know.
Forget Apple. Kanye West is in your corner. I don't think you get to say independent.
Well, you know.
You're right. I mean, practically, other than
he had a lot of breaks that people didn't have. Not only Kanye West, Common vouched for him.
Yeah.
And then,
but he was writing the records that people loved from Kanye. So
yeah, and also I think background. He did not come from a regular rapper's background. You know what I mean? He came from a very collegiate, well-to-do family. So,
like a Spike Lee movie.
Yeah. And I think it's also funny, you know, how they did the interview with him, how he's talking about, you know, maybe he's going to charge for the next album. You're only going to have so much, you know, you're only going to make so much off of concerts. Sooner or later, you're going to have to sell your music. And something else that a lot of people don't know, and here's the little things, is I remember, you know, first everybody's like, oh, Chance the Rapper, oh, yeah, you know, great stuff, yada, yada, yada. Well, he has people calling radio stations too. He has independent record promoters. I mean, he's still using the same system that the major labels are using.
And that's why I can't give, like, even though.
But he's paying for him. That's the difference. Tech Nine is too.
But going to if we compare Tech Nine to Chance, I think Tech Nine definitely did it independent. Like, you can't. As far as I can tell, it's just hard ass work and finding a niche and killing it. With Chance, it's like all these things are in his corner, and he's making a type of music, when we talk about his solo albums, a type of music that shouldn't fucking work at all. Like, you need people to call in to even get you to want to listen to some shit that sounds, I mean, not that it's bad albums, but it's just, it's such a unique sound that's a very hit or miss situation to go and then get a Grammy. Right. Like,
well, Coloring Book that was a good album. I'll give him that. That was a great album. Acid Rap sounded like pots and pans to me. There was some hellified growth in between those two, but you know,
just let me tell it. Bar to Six is a much better album than Coloring Book. But that's
Young Thug's Bar to Six. Well, I thought Views was going to win Rap Album of the Year myself. I don't see how an album that made it for Album of the Year didn't win its own category, but it is what it is.
Views definitely was album of that's one of those, the same way Macklemore stole it. I think
he had a good album though.
Macklemore,
and it was, but see, here's the thing too, because that album, it came out 2 years prior. You know what I mean? It's like the only reason it was on the Heist had been out for a long time. It's because remember, it started out as mixtape like 2013.
So how did it qualify?
By sales. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it has to get to a certain point, and then I mean, it's just like new artists, like new record of the year. Like, a lot of times, people have already came out with music. Like, why is that the new record of the year?
Well, it's the same reason like Drake didn't want to be on the Freshman cover. It's like, no, I've been here. Like, no, I don't want it. I don't want that. But back to Kendrick. What do you think about it?
Well, and we can tie this in. So, like, Kendrick, I think you can't prove it. He'll probably never say it. But you cannot sit and listen to Damn and tell me that it is not more palatable. It is not more consumer friendly. It is not more covering other masses. I don't want to mainstream. And that was not a conscious effort to do that. You can't tell me. Kendrick puts too much into his music for it not to be like, okay, we're going to make strong hooks. We're going to make strong songs. We're going to have a great body of work. Because To Pimp a Butterfly did great. but there was not one single that broke top 20 on the radio charts. And please believe they get commissions off that too. Same way with J. Cole. Like, he came out with, I forgot the album before the last one, and it was a great album, went platinum. Not one radio single on it. Well, all of a sudden, this album, 2014 Forest Hill Drive, he's got some radio cuts on there.
But I think he did. I think he did it consciously, Kendrick.
And I think that's why I like the album better. I think that's why everybody's like, "Oh man, this album is great," because it is more melodic.
I think he did it because I think he wanted that. I think he wanted to beat Drake. I think he wanted to beat Drake, Big Sean. I think
I can't go to that. I'm not touching that one.
I really think so, because if you listen to it, like you couldn't. Like I said, I go back to that line where he goes, "It's the difference between a whack rapper, a black rapper, and whack rapper." Is like, because after a while, you're gonna have everyone's calling you great, but you can only exist in the rap world. You can only exist right there, even though, like, most people, or we'll say millennials and hipsters will say, "Oh no, Kendrick," almost in that ironic way, acting like they like it, when it's like, wait a minute, you know what Kendrick is talking about? How do you really like it like that? But when you go, I saw him do a couple live shows, and you see a Kendrick Lamar audience, it looks like a Rihanna audience almost. I mean, it looks like,
what's that mean? Like females, white?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very diverse crowd,
what?
which ain't the same as a Gucci Mane crowd. Well, shit, maybe. But it does feel like he intentionally wanted that crossover.
But that's when you get to that level. I mean, you do have more crossover like that. No, fortunately, there's not a lot of rap acts now that have that much crossover. I think that's why hip hop music, rap music, whatever you want to call it, is suffering. Because if you look at the charts, like, there's not a lot of crossover. But I think it's kind of shot himself in the foot. But that's another subject for another day.
Best song on you. So what you got is the best song on?
God. Period.
That's my favorite song.
Period. That's one of those. I listened to the whole album, and God's like the second to last one.
Yeah.
I listened to the last one, went back to God, and listened to that for an hour on repeat. Like, there's something in that song. I don't know if it's only I hear it. I don't know if it just speaks to me. Like, that's one of those where I'm like, okay, you
that God record is like I'm just saying, I almost hate that Duckworth song. I like it, but I feel like that's not your last song. Because when God ends, I feel like, shit, that was it. I got it. Let's run that back one more time. But yeah, once he got and I like a lot of records. My only complaint about the Kendrick album is I don't like the double song structure, because like Travis Scott does that on his albums, where you have a 7-minute song and it's really 2 songs. And I dig it. I got some different issues with Travis Scott, but with Kendrick's album, some of those switches take me out of the vibe.
Right.
And so I can't listen to it and like, okay, this is jamming, and then get to record 9, and I'm like, all right, I can skip that. I get to half, like that U2 song, I don't listen to the second half of that song. I don't have nothing against U2. It's just that don't work.
Yeah, when it
me.
Switches up, it's time to kick, but at the beginning it's hot.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of the Kendrick album is like that. So I feel like it is the best Kendrick album that I've heard. And you skipped Untitled was his last album.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I just, not to sound like an asshole, but anything that doesn't make an album, any project that are pieces of music that weren't good enough to make a project, I never listened to. Like, if it's not good enough to make a project, it may be great individual. You know who I think does a great job of that? Is Drake. Like, even if he has all these songs that don't fit, Summer 16 is a perfect example. Like, Back to Back is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Hot songs, but they just don't fit in the project. but he just releases them as singles. There was 8 songs on this, like the one where it's like the black man, the China man, the white man. Like that was a great song. I saw him doing it on one of the late night shows. I'm like, oh man, that's a cool song. He's released that.
Yeah.
But the Untitled one, it's a bunch of untitled songs. Like, they aren't even good enough to get a title.
And go when you go to the Drake album, Hotline Bling bonus song. It's not even
right.
It didn't fit, but you had to put it on there.
Right.
You know, but yeah, that's one of those ones that in the grand scheme, Hotline Bling doesn't fit. And I wouldn't even say it was the best song on the album, even though it was his biggest song that year. Not even the best song on was it Views? Views.
Yeah, because it was the last song on Views.
Yeah. So what are you ranking this Kendrick album?
Probably second. Good Kid, Mad City. Just because it is a conceptual, kind of a day in LA. You know what I mean? That was his first one. It all fit together. I love albums that are conceptual ones, and even in between the music, they fit together, except for To Pimp a Butterfly, because just the spoken word, I can't fucking stand that. But like how he had like the answering machine messages, and it was like they were leaving, like it was like him rolling through LA, and people were leaving him messages like, "Hey, watch out for your friends." And then the next one, it was a complete body of work. So that's probably my favorite. Damn is a close second though. I mean, that's a close second.
What's your 1 through 10 rating on that?
Probably 9.
9. Yeah. That's too.
I mean,
low.
like 10 for me is like the perfect. Like I don't have too many 10s, but like a 9 is like. Put it this way: a year from now, I'll still be listening to all of Damn. 5 years from now, I'll probably be listening to Damn. Like that's a 9 for me. A 10 is like, that's classic.
Yeah.
That's class. Like that's Wu-Tang Inner 36 Chambers. You know what I mean? Like that's 10.
All right. So then this is what we got to do now is the head-to-head. More Life or Damn?
What's apples and oranges? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. That's one of those.
It's all fruit. It's all fruit.
You can't compare, man. You can't compare. Okay, then it's like apples and steak.
Well, you can't. All right. But if we had to compare. Well, okay, then why do you say that?
Because I think well, first of all, I think it's just kind of two different things. It's hard to compare, not the Drake and the lyricist, but an album that's structured around lyricism and writing compared to an album. I mean, because half of Drake's album is R&B, fundamentally. So it's kind of hard to put that up against each other. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, Damn is more of a traditional hip-hop album. More Life is like a rap, R&B, trap hop album.
I got you. All right, I mean? So
not that that's bad, but it's two different things.
So let's say More Life is on the table, Damn is on the table. You got to make a drive down to Oklahoma. You can only take one. What you taking?
Probably More Life.
When do you pick up Damn then?
When I'm going to Dallas and I need an extra couple hours. You know what I mean? And you say I had to pick what, but that's because I'm a Drake dude. Now, probably More Life would probably, and I'd even put, if you were like Damn and Views on the table, I'd be like, I'd probably take Views. Now, if there were anybody else but Drake, and even all the same Drake albums, if you're like Thank Me Later and Damn, I'd probably be like, I'll take Damn. You know what I mean? And if it were anybody else but Drake, right now, I'd probably take Damn.
I know I'm taking Views because I have more consecutive tracks that I'm gonna let it run. But Damn is is my favorite Kendrick albums. But I look at More Life, and part of me kind of feels how you feel about Untitled. I feel like More Life is really the untitled Kendrick album, because I feel like, if I'm picking one or the other, I do pick More Life, but I also look at it like I can't compare the two either, like you said, but more so for the reason is when I listen to Damn, like you said, I hear an album. When I listen to More Life, I do look at it like a playlist. I look at it like a bunch of songs. I don't feel like it's an album. So I don't even really like to judge it against an album. Because I had a friend who actually, he doesn't like More Life. And he says, I mean, it got a bunch of cool songs, but a lot of it is trash. And I said, okay, now do this then. It's 22 songs on there. Take out all the ones you don't like, and you have a traditional album. Because traditional album, roughly, 12 to 15 songs. If he tells me he likes 8 songs, you got about the same as what most people dig on a regular album, about 8 songs, and the rest is filler. But I can only judge what you gave me. You gave me 22 as a package. And I go, you know, it's hard to compare. And it's hard to love. But I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So if we give it to somebody, if it comes down to it, you have to pick a guy who won the winter, basically, or I guess win in the spring. Are you gonna give it to Drake or you give it to Kendrick?
I would give it to Drake all the time. Drake is one of those weird artists, and especially
now let's look at the whole package. Now we got videos.
Let's because I don't know. I've seen Drake in concert, right? I can't talk about Kendrick. I know he's went on tour, but as a complete package,
I'm just talking in his pocket now.
Nobody is doing what Drake is doing as a complete package. No one.
You know what? Let me accent that. Bring that camera over.
From merch to music to touring to conceptualizing to having their own iTunes, Apple radio show. As a brand, nobody's doing what Drake is doing in the hip hop game right now.
But to accent that,
no.
What I do love about More Life is putting on that international music, putting on the KMT, putting on the Skepta. All these people I hear about, and I never liked that grime music. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, this shit sounds like coins in the goddamn laundry, in the dryer. It's just noise to me. But then I listened to those records, and the one song with what's his name? Not Skepta, like Gibbs or something like that.
Oh, Giggs. Yeah.
And he hits that Batman, da-da-da-da-da, like every time. It's just, it's the stupidest line, but it's so dope to me. And then I go and YouTube Skepta and what's that, Giggs, and I'm like, okay, I see it. Like, I see why people say these people are dope. They are rapping over there and wherever the fuck they came from, London or whatever. And Skepta, he has a track called Ace Hood Flow. You look up this Ace Hood Flow video, probably one of the best videos I've never seen. And it's just him in a room rapping. But it's like one of the best videos I've seen. And I thought when I was looking at it, I'm sharing these songs to people who I know heard More Life, and I said, Drake did it. Like, I would have never looked up any of these people.
Right.
I couldn't read
He's a great A&R. He has a great ear. I mean, when you really think about it, like, Drake is one of those, like, even though he's a great conduit in between Migos, Versace, like, that's a great example.
Exactly.
The average person did not know who Migos was.
Right.
He was like, oh man, this is a great song. Did a little verse on it. Migos Migos blew up.
But you can find, and I told someone that.
Even Kendrick on Marvin's Room. At the end of Marvin's Room. Because they had Marvin's Room, and then at the very end, they had the song that was different. That's Kendrick.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Going back to listen to that. But to go with that, I definitely agree.
Where it ends, where it's like, and then I died. That's Kendrick Lamar.
That is Kendrick.
That's Kendrick Lamar. The Weeknd, Kendrick, Party Next Door, Migos, Lil Yachty, like all those that have been on the where he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do like he's got a great A&R ear.
But what I dig about, I mean, what you're saying there is a lot of people say that he
McConan.
That he, hops on people this and that, and Culture, whatever, Vulture. He's stealing this. I'm like you said, I don't know Migos. I don't know Weeknd. I don't know. I mean, not to say that these people wasn't doing something, but when Drake put that Midas on them, changed these people's lives.
Well, and the ultimate argument is, who does that help? Does that help Drake or does that help Migos?
I think it helps. It helps.
Drake's already selling millions,
but I think what it does for Drake, I think it's even.
It just gets another song on the radio.
I think it's even just because Drake wants to do a hard record, let's say, but he don't want to necessarily put that on his album. He don't want to necessarily drop a whole project, but he can make somebody a single. He can make them a hit. He can make a hard record and get in and get out. So then it keeps his name. Like when we go down this list and we look at all the stuff he's been on, we never miss Drake, but he's very consistent. He's very hot. It's not even a doubt. Like, you always anticipate. I think most people, love or hate him, always want to anticipate a Drake. Whatever.
He's a great. That's what I'm saying, as a brand, and even as he releases them. What was it like 1 year? October's very own OVO. 1 year he released a song on his birthday in October 23rd. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Libras.
Or the album. 1 year he just put like Nothing Was the Same. All of a sudden it was just like
nothing was the same.
Yeah, and I can't remember if that was the one that got released on his birthday, but I remember if you're reading it, it's too late. It was like, oh shit, Drake dropped that. It was just like boom,
out of nowhere,
and the future platinum in 2 weeks, and the future one. This one he told you when it was gonna come, and then said, it's gonna be dropping. And matter of fact, he was debuting his new single on OVO radio, and then he said, "Hey man, that's off More Life. I think it was Fake Love."
Yeah.
And then he also did because he did
21 Savage.
21 Savage, and that's another thing. He'll debut songs,
don't even use them,
and won't use them. You know what I mean? And everybody knew the album. Same way of Views, how he was dropped the one with Beyonce. Yeah, new song with Beyonce on OVO radio. None of, but then it's coming, December 2016. But then he's like. He doesn't even talk about it. Everybody's like, where's the Drake album? Oh, it's coming in January. Where's the Drake album? It's coming in March. Where's the Drake album? And then he drops a new single and then gives you a date, and everybody's salivating for it. Nobody's doing that. Nobody has the power to do that either.
But you know what promoted More Life? Dogging the shit out of Meek Mill. Beating the dog shit out of Meek Mill.
But that was his own. Well, no, that was Views. That was Views. Because that was back to back.
It was early in the month. Yeah, I mean the year.
And summer 16. Yeah,
because he said that. Saying summer 16.
Yeah, because he was airing that at the tour. Yeah, that's what he came out to, looking for revenge. That was his first line of the show. You know what I mean? It's like nobody is putting the thought into being like, okay, how shall we? Like we have these songs. This is what I'm doing. I mean, come on, summer 16 tour. I mean, the merch was like, revenge. It's like it was all everything was like, how can we connect the dots to where it's total brand connectivity on everything. The Jungle Tour, when he came out with, if you're reading this, it's far too late. The Jungle Tour was only 8 cities, and when he was on Coachella.
Yeah.
The back of the screen was what?
Me. No.
While it was a jungle.
Yeah.
And then what was the bird on the screen the whole show? A fucking owl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what's his logo?
The owl.
An owl. I mean, it's total, like, those are the little things where it's just like an owl looking at you for an hour and a half. Like, you know what I mean? It's
one thing that I told someone about Drake is that he's not aspiring to be Jay-Z. And you think about it.
Need to be.
You think about it when you talk about that echelon. The top of the game for rap is Jay-Z. But then when he tells me he wants to be Prince and do what Prince did, I mean, where your music is gonna play everywhere, anytime, all the time, if need be. When you
I can say
he's 7 albums,
and 7 albums,
his greatest
and I
hits.
can say he's done it. I mean, look at Controller. I mean, that damn song was either One Dance or Controller. That some bitch was on 5 formats. Hot AC was playing that some bitch. You know what I mean? You got alternative stations playing it. Like that's a game changer.
rap adult
Yeah,
contemporary.
that's a game changer. When you're on Urban AC, Top 40 Rhythmic, Top 40, Hot AC, Alternative. Come on, man. That shit Adele's doing.
Yeah. Adele, everybody know Adele for sure.
You know what I mean? There ain't too many people doing that.
Now let's go. Let's talk about that class real quick, and we'll wrap it up. So we look at this class that came in with Drake. We talking Drake, Kendrick, Wale, Sean, Meek. I think that's about that class. Why is it? How did Kendrick get in that conversation and Meek not? Big Sean not? J. Cole not?
J. Cole's in there. I would say J. Cole's in there. People forget, man. All his albums went platinum.
Quietly, which is weird.
People forget about that.
I think Jay-Z's buying them albums, man.
Nah.
Now, where do you put what is the name of that last J. Cole album?
The 2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Not that one.
Was it the
I wrote it. For Your Eyes.
For Your Eyes Only?
Where do you rate that in this triad?
It was pretty good. I mean, I think it was a little different since it was, that was more of a
shit was
conceptual
hard.
album. Really, the last
All three of these are conceptual albums.
It was
when you think
good, but the
about it.
last good one was 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Like this one was a little more personal.
Kanye diss?
Did he?
Diss Kanye.
Like right out? You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get on a tangent here, man. What's up with these subliminal ass? I come from the era where it was like, yo, Kanye, boom, 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 boom. Like back to back. That's one thing I'll say about Drake and Meek Mill. You knew who they were talking about. You knew it. Just like this Nicki, Remy Ma. You know there was no subliminal shit in there. You knew who they were talking about. So that's my tangent.
But that's how I felt about the Kendrick song. When everyone was hyping it's about Drake, it's about Big Sean. I'm like, yo, if he don't say no name, fuck it. Because he don't want nobody to know. If you're gonna be that bold, be that brave, say it. It's rap. We understand. Don't leave people in this. And even if you do that, maybe do a little tweet or something and say that was for Drake. Something. Because like you say, if you really with Meek and Drake, they wanted it. They went for it for each other, and it stayed. We got some good music from both of them, and it was entertaining. But Kendrick, you're the biggest next to Drake right now. If you want to compete with Drake, just say it. If not, I don't know. It's something about fans when fans start getting too into it, and then at the same time, all the professionals think it's about Big Sean's, all the fans think it's about Drake because everyone hates Drake.
I don't think it's necessarily a competition between Kendrick and Drake. I think Kendrick, put it this way, the stuff Kendrick is doing, Kendrick is the best at. The stuff Drake is doing, Drake is the best at. And I think they kind of know that. Of course, everything's competitive. Money's competitive. All that stuff's competitive. But it's like, I think deep down they're like, man, I'm doing me. I'm too busy doing me to worry about, what Kendrick's doing. I'm too busy doing me to worry about what Drake's doing.
I think you got to worry about it, though. Just think, is there another hip-hop station?
In the state?
That you
Technically, no. There's one in Kansas City on the Missouri side.
So if you think about that, like you kind of do have to keep, if there was one up your neck, the state, you would have to figure out, okay, what are they doing?
Well, and are we a hip hop station anymore?
Moving on.
I mean, because we're not. We never really were. It was just the top 40 music at the time was hip hop. That's another discussion for another day.
Immortal is the song that I think Immortal is the one J. Cole this. It's pretty evident. Like it is subliminal, but it's very clear. So where does Big Sean fit in this?
His last album was pretty good. His albums are getting better. One thing I'll say about him is I think he kind of, I don't want to say got lost in the sauce, but he's came out with good projects. And also, people are not buying albums. I mean, when you look at hip-hop artists like Big Sean going 500,000, like, that's damn good. That's damn good. Like, don't ever get that twisted. But in these days and times, now, he's had platinum singles. You know what I mean? So it's like he's putting out the music.
I think Big Sean, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I heard the last album. I think it's good. I just don't think Big Sean has a great album. I don't think he's capable. I hate to say I don't think he's capable of making one, but I think everyone realized that he can flat out rap his ass off. He's like one of the best writing bars, punchlines, and all this sort of thing. Very creative. But I think if you tell him to make a project, he can make a good album, but just not a great album.
Well, you know, it almost makes you wonder who like the producers and the people, you know, who are around him. Because I mean, you know, don't get it twisted too. When you got Dr. Dre as the EP of your album, that's going a long way.
And you know Dre is walking into that studio from time to time.
Right, that's going a long way.
But you would think Kanye would be walking into Big Sean every now and again.
I don't think he is. I think Kanye's worried about Kanye.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes, and this is really sound like a Drake fan show now, but I think that what makes Drake's work is that he's keep this core around him that made him what he is. Even though you know Wayne is here and there, Nicki is here and there, but those core people who he made this Toronto shit with.
Well, 40 is like it's like the Robin to the Batman, but I mean that's because also one thing about Kendrick, I don't think a lot of people realize. I'll say this about To Pimp a Butterfly: sonically, that album sounded fucking crazy. Like when you put it on 2 speakers or rolling in a car, I mean that shit was 3D. Drake, his album sounds sonically great.
Yeah.
But that's 40. You know what I mean? Kanye, Life of Pablo, sounded great. Even Yeezus, people shit on Yeezus, wasn't his best, but sonically sounded great. Yeah. Big Sean, Mike Dean, and Kanye should be mixing and mastering his albums because they don't sound as good sonically.
Yeah. Sean definitely doesn't have a consistent sound, and I think that's what bothers me sometimes. Because I love, if you tell me Big Sean got a new song, I'm going for it. I want to hear it. But then you tell me Big Sean got a new album, like, all right, well, I'll get to that when I get to it. I think MGMT got a new album. I'll listen to that first.
I mean, it's no different from Jay, Young Guru. That's the only person who mixes and masters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and records them. Like, they only deal with, like, 4 people.
And that's what I liked about that Compton, that Dr. Dre Compton. Was that the one with that's why I like that's what I like. When I throw these headphones on or Bluetooth on, I want to feel like I hear those. I want to hear the reverb a little bit. I want to hear it that your engineer and the person mixing it was really sitting there like, we gonna make this perfect.
Right.
Migos album is like that as well. But then like 21 Savage is not. And I always like, you need to get a good studio and you'll sound a whole lot better. Not that, you know, Young Thug sounds, I don't know if, do you like Travis Scott?
He's cool. I can take him in spurts. Like I like some of the singles, like Travis Scott's one of them, like it's too heavy. I always call Travis Scott, it's like Wagner with a backbeat. It's heavy orchestra music to me. It's goth. It's you know, like dun 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 dun, like that's Wagner. But it's just like really it's so many strings and so many synths coming at you. Like it's like, God damn.
Yeah, I can see it.
After 3 songs, it's like, I mean, it's like Jesus Christ.
But I can see that, and it is I told someone about Travis Scott doesn't have his definitive yet, in my opinion, because I still feel like I could listen to his album. Half of it is getting ready for top 40. The other half of it is rap, but it's webbed so awfully. Like the track list is so awful that it just doesn't work.
I'll say too, I think you have to be in a certain mind state, meaning half-ass off, you know, lean. You know, if it's noon and you're sitting there eating, you know, salmon and broccoli and rice, living in a Travis Scott, you know, it just doesn't hit as well as if you're, you know, Xanaxed out. I really think there's different things that go along with also helping the music.
All right, well, That
on that
is
note,
that is what am I calling this now? Well, what is this? What is it? Kendrick Lamar's Damn versus Drake's More Life, which really just turned into Drake versus Kendrick, or Drake versus anybody making rap right now, or making music in the hip hop. I don't know what the fuck to call it. That's why I keep calling it adult rap contemporary music. This is a whole different.
We'll put it under rap because see, I'm a hip hop dude, so like hip hop is one of them things like when people say hip hop, I'm like, is it though? You know what I mean? Is it though? Like hip hop to me is something totally different. Hip hop is more Kendrick, but this is rap.
All right. Well, this is rap. So I'm Kind of Famous podcast. We just broke that down. Me and Power 93.5's Rolls Royce from the radio. Why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Anywhere online, Royce on the radio. That's everything. Website, social media, Instagram, everything. Royce on the radio. All
right. Well, I really don't know how to end this one. Like, I feel like we just dropped off.
We'll end it with thank you for listening. Till next time, keep on rocking on.
All right. This is the I'm Kind of Famous podcast. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, all that. Hit that like button. I need you to hit that like button. Definitely hit share. Let somebody know about it. And if you don't like anything that we said, all this Drake standing that we did, let us know on the Facebook Kind of Famous podcast page at Kind of Famous Pod, KINDA Famous Pod, POD. Also on Twitter. And again, I'm going to say this. If you are dealing with mental health issues, in May we're going to do, or if it affects you in some form, May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And in May, we're going to do a whole week based on mental health. We're going to have interviews and conversations with therapists, artists, other people that deal with it. And we want to read off emails of people that have experiences with...
Shit, everybody does. I mean, so everybody should feel it. Everybody has phones for mental health.
Well, goddamn, everybody needs to start sending the goddamn emails.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's keep it real, you know?
So, Kind of Famous Pod at gmail.com. Send those emails and we'll read it. If you want to stay anonymous, we will. And until next time.
So, in light of you being kind of famous.
Why the hell I'm kind of famous? Who the hell she know?